Just generally, I just certainly want to emphasize the Turnaround Houston program that starts on Saturday, the 26th, at the Sunnyside Multi-Service Center. The focus is a job resource center to encourage people who have been unemployed, chronically unemployed, those who ex-offenders who are looking for jobs. This is a resource center to provide them with all the necessary wraparound services that they may need to improve their chances of getting a job. I'm very excited about it. It'll be one of 6 resource centers that will take place throughout the city. A number of different partners are participating with us. So I'm certainly encouraging people to come from 10 to 3. So very, very excited about that. And then just asking, well, I don't think I want to go too deeply into some of these programs that we're working on it, and certainly encouraging businesses and others who may be able to provide summer youth job opportunities for kids between the ages of, let's say, 16 and 18 for the summer. If they would contact the mayor's office, we certainly would like to include them in this program. Having said that, I'll take whatever question you have.
So, Mayor, after the terror attacks in Belgium, are you more concerned about security with the Final Four coming up here in Houston?
You know, we always assume from the worst case scenario with respect to any of the events, especially the NCAA. So we've already ramped up to make sure that we keep people safe. Dennis Storinsky is head of Homeland Security, and Dennis is certainly here. But we always assume the worst. And we're working with different law enforcement agencies from the federal level to the state level to the city level. So I feel confident that we are ready, like we're ready for any major event. The good news is that Houston has a number of major events in the city, and I think we do an excellent job at providing security and protecting people. And the same thing I think will apply here.
Related to that?
Dennis, if you don't mind. After the obviously after the terror attacks in Belgium, our concerns are heightened. Should we be more concerned now than we were 2 weeks ago?
Well, anytime one of these events occur, it reminds us that we have to continue doing what we've been doing all along. One of the things that we noticed after September 11th, 2001, the concern about Homeland Security tends to drop until we have an incident. So it's just a reminder that we have to maintain the efforts that we've developed. And I think we're as prepared as any city in the country to deal with an incident. But the main thing is try to prevent it. And I think our biggest risk in the U.S. is homegrown, radicalized violent extremists, as opposed to actual ISIS members coming over. But most of the cases we see being made in the country involve people who are homegrown and radicalized here and maybe gone over and done training and came back.
So towards that end, would you support HPD patrolling Muslim neighborhoods in advance of that, as Senator Cruz has suggested yesterday?
I didn't hear that, and I don't have a position on that.
Related to that,
I think it's important for us to make sure that all Houstonians are safe, every community is safe, every neighborhood is safe, and that's what we will continue to do. Certainly, Dennis and I, along with others, have looked at what other cities have done when they're covering major events, making sure that we are prepared. But with respect to the city of Houston, I certainly want to make sure that every neighborhood, every community is safe, and that's the goal, that's the objective.
yes. Item 30, sir.
You said earlier, you just go over, there's some security details, upgrades you said were going on there.
Yeah, essentially, and let me just repeat what I said earlier, at our airports, we have increased curbside and ticket lobby surveillance and patrol, and we are enforcing drive and go curbside use. Now, this means there is no standing or waiting for vehicles at the terminals. So you can't park your car and then run in. You drop people off, and you have to keep moving. We have also expanded patrol of airport parking garages, and in the broader sense, the city of Houston has put in place capabilities to prevent terrorism, protect our residents and infrastructure, and if necessary, to respond to terrorism events. Dennis will continue, the rest of you will continue to monitor all of that and working with HPD, as well as working with our other law enforcement partners.
Yes. Item 30 on the agenda specifically allows purchase of terrorism insurance. Was that scheduled before the Brussels attacks? And
It's already on the
yeah, you're right.
Mayor, let's talk about the recycle program. Can you talk to me about the recycling program today?
Well, recycling will continue uninterrupted. The 2-year contract, which starts as of today. It will continue with the exception of the recycling of glass in terms of the curbside. I'm certainly encouraging people to deposit their glass in the neighborhood depository centers. There are 10 of them in the city, and we could, provide even more. But it will go uninterrupted with the exception of the recycling of glass. It's a 2-year contract only, and during the course of the 2 years, we will continue to look at whatever other means are available to be even more robust and innovative in recycling, and we'll explore all possibilities.
Are you still going to be working with waste management, or you'll try to look for another company
Over the next
to?
2 years, we're looking at everything. Everything is on the table. We want to be able to present a recycling plan that will match any that's in the country, especially from major urban centers. And I think the 2 years will give us enough time to do just that.
Mr. Mayor, your airport director, you were at the State of the Airport address. Your airport director told us that he didn't know why you canceled and rebid these recent airport contracts. He said it was never explained to him. Can you clear that up? It just seems odd.
Well, there were a number of questions raised. I wasn't comfortable with it. I said that it's my intent to always be just as transparent as we could and make sure that we have a process with the utmost degree of integrity. And I chose to send it back and restart the process. This process did not start on my watch. And so it was my prerogative to choose to simply to rebid it, to restart it, just like with waste management. That didn't necessarily start on my watch, but I choose to rebid it. The same thing here.
Among the questions raised in that deal was the notion that a consultant for the airport was hired to both write the bid, or help write the bid, and then hired out to a vendor to help write their submission. How comfortable are you with the notion of a city consultant then turning around and working for a bidder to try and win that contract?
I'm not personally familiar with that, but what I can say is that since the previous contract did not start under me, and since there were questions raised, and since we were dealing with a contract of significant size, I chose to restart the process. And under the new process, it is being overseen by the Chief Procurement Officer, who I brought in about a month ago. What's his name? John Gillespie, who is the Chief Procurement Officer, working in collaboration with the City Attorney's Office and setting up this process. And I think I'm very comfortable with this process. I certainly can speak to this process and with the Chief Procurement Officer overseeing
But
the
each
letting of contracts.
of the, but the same airport employees that report to the airport director, whose friend was involved with this, are overseeing each of the bids, just like they did last time. Are you comfortable with that?
No, I don't necessarily accept that. The Chief Procurement Officer is overseeing this entire process. And we have outlined a different process, and we have shared it with the comptroller, who, as you know, raised some concerns with the previous process. And he's very comfortable with the process that I have outlined in this particular deal. And I think if the process is sound and people have confidence in the process, then I think people will be more willing to accept the end result.
Would you be willing to let us speak to whomever the City Attorney's Office conducted the investigation into the last?
I'm not, as I told the members of the City Council, 16 members of them today, I don't look back, I go forward.
Well, I understand, but I mean, part of looking back is to see what problems there were.
That contract did not go forward. I canceled that contract, and we are starting a new process.
Was there investigation
And
into
let me just finish, please. The contract that originated before was canceled by me. Okay, canceled by me. No one got anything from that previous contract. Now that I am the mayor of the city of Houston, I wanted to put together a process that I felt comfortable with. And I have done that It is being overseen by the Chief Procurement Officer of the City of Houston, who was not around last time. He only came on board a month ago, and he is my pick. And I've asked him to work in collaboration, in partnership with the City Attorney's Office, to put together a process that has the utmost degree of credibility at his staff. And have shared that new process with the comptroller, and he's very comfortable with this new process. And so we're moving forward. Nobody has received a contract yet, and we'll see what this new process produces.
Mayor, you spoke at length during your campaign about the possibility of merging the city and the county's crime labs.
Yes.
Do you still support that, and have you taken any concrete steps to pursue it?
We're taking a look at it, and I know the county judge and I've had some preliminary conversations about looking at possibilities of whether or not to merge. It may be a situation, there are some things that they are doing that we are not. The same thing, there are certain things that we are doing that they don't currently have the capacity to do. And so it's either looking at mergers or looking at how we can share, kind of collaborate to achieve the same desired results.